Welcome to day two of the International Hizmet Conference, organized in collaboration by the Indialogue Foundation and OP Jindal Global University. Panel one for today at the Performing Arts Academy is called Science for Peace, Coexistence and Pluralism. The moderator of this panel is Professor John Paul. I request him to come on stage and to give an introduction to the panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm Dr. John Paul, the Peter Paul and Elizabeth Hagen Professor of the History of Christianity at United Lutheran Seminary with campuses in Philadelphia and Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I'm also the author of Fethullah Gulen, A Life of Hizmet, Why a Muslim Scholar in Pennsylvania Matters to the World, the first critical biography of Fethullah Gulen in English. It's my distinct honor to be here and to welcome our distinguished guests who have just joined us. Thank you so much, and thank you all for being here. Let's give ourselves a round of applause for starting this distinguished panel, and we're going to change the order just a little bit, and we're going to begin with Salim Abdullah. We then have Sheikh Mohammed Altafour Rahman, who will join us virtually. And then go to Gada Ghazal, and then return to Margaret Kosal, from whom we heard earlier. Salim Abdullah Ahmed is Research Assistant at the Harmony Institute for Interfaith and Interreligious Dialogue and a Master's Student in Theology, Religion, and Science at the Global Ministries University. He's writing a thesis on mitigating climate change in Kenya through the teachings and values of Fethullah Gulen and Pope Francis, and the title of his presentation is From Dialogue to Coexistence, Cultural Diversity Through the Lens of Hizmet. Please join me in welcoming Salim Abdullah Ahmed.
Thank you so much, Professor. Distinguished, respected scholars, colleagues, and friends, good morning. It is a pleasure and an honor to share a talk with you today. First is an inspiration for us as a Harmony Institute from Kenya, Africa, to travel all the way to India. So it's a huge thank to Jindal Global University and also Indialogue. So we gather at a time when cultural, religious, and ethnic diversity is one of the most defining reality of our global moment, and yet also one of the most contested pressing issues. In this talk, I want to explore how Hizmet moves from dialogue to coexistence. I will briefly introduce its philosophical foundation, then examine its practice of dialogue as a transformative process, and finally illustrate these ideas through a concrete case with Harmony Institute in Kenya. The first is an Hizmetic vision from necessity to conviction. The starting point of my paper is simple but challenging. Claim: peaceful coexistence today cannot be based only on legal arrangement or on putting up with each other. Laws are necessary, but they are not enough. We need to move, as I phrase it, from coexistence by necessity to coexistence by conviction, where people want to live together across difference because they see moral and spiritual value in doing so. Fethullah Gulen himself insists that diversity is not an accident, but part of God's design. Commenting on a Quranic verse that God made us a nation and tribes that you may know each one another, he argues that difference in ethnicity, language, and even religion is a context for knowing, not justification for hostility. In one of his reflections on diversity in society, he writes that accepting diversity honestly is an important step toward the future where diversity is not going to constitute a problem for us. That perspective undercut any attempt to impose cultural uniformity as a religious deal. This theological affirmation of diversity is shaped by Sufi influence in his Gulen thoughts, love, humility, and awareness of God's sign in every person. This is why, for Hizmet, cultural and religious differences are not simply to be tolerated. They are to engage and as occasion for mutual learning and spiritual growth. So looking into the three main core values which I chose for this paper, where is hospitality, compassion, and service. Hizmet operationalized this vision through these three key ethical values: hospitality, compassion, and service. So the first one is hospitality. So in the Abrahamic tradition, welcoming the stranger is more than good manners. It is a sacred duty. Hizmet takes this seriously as both personal and institutional level. Homes, school, dialogue center, and cultural programs are all understood as a space where the other, in quote, should be feel at home. Hospitality becomes a social pedagogy. It teaches people gently that the other's presence is a blessing rather than a threat. The second one is marhamet, or called compassion. So Hujai Fendi repeatedly insists that genuine faith requires empathy and caring for the suffering of others, regardless of their identity. In his reflection on love and tolerance, he states, we should have such tolerance that we are able to close our eyes to the fault of others, to have respect for different ideas, and to forgive everything that is forgivable. This is not a call to naivete, but a moral stance in which our first instinct is mercy, understanding, not suspicion. The last one is about the hizmet, or khidma, or service. Service is, in this tradition, is not a side activity. It is a spiritual discipline and a civic responsibility. Hujafendi once described the path to the people's heart in striking terms. The shortest way to conquer people's heart is the way of love. Once hearts are wounded by love, there is no problem left that cannot be solved. Service, education, social work, relief, or dialogue is seen as the concrete expression of love. Now, let's turn now to the dialogue itself. For Hizmet, dialogue is not optional, and it is not a merely polite conversation. So even Ojafenim says that dialogue is must for us. It is an integral to how believers relate to God and others in plural world. In his book, The Necessity of Interfaith Dialogue, A Muslim Perspective, Ojafendi insists that religion are meant to bridge, to unify humanity on the path to virtue, not to divide it. He thus called on Muslims to seek shared ethical ground with people of others' faith while remaining true to their own conviction. In another says on tolerance, he writes, we should respond with mildness so that we can touch others people's heart by following a method consisting of a tender heart, a gentle approach, and a mild behavior. In his method, I decide to have three dialogue typically for Hizmet. The first one is encounter through hospitality, where now people come together. We share a meal it becomes a normal in many gathering, and where now sometime we having a school open days or a community event. So these encounters lower the temperature and begin to erode stereotypes. So the first one is through having people come together. And then we have another one is a structured dialogue. Building on that, dialogue centers and institutions organize conversation on the themes like family, ethics, peace, or social justice. The goal is not to win the debate, but to understand and to be understood. The last one is the ethical commonality and cooperation. Over time, participants often discover shared values, concern for the poor, respect for the human dignity, desire for peace. This becomes the basis for cooperation in the service, in service project and advocacy. In this way, dialogue moves from contact to relationship, and from relationship to joint action. Ujefendi summarized the logic beautifully in an essay on love and tolerance. Love, compassion, tolerance, and forgiving are the pillars of dialogue. The point is not to dilute faith, but to humanize relations so that communities can live and work together without abandoning their belief. Now from encounter to ethical communality, whereby bridging faith and modernity. A distinctive contribution of Hizmet is an attempt to reconcile Islamic spirituality with modern secular democratic values. Gulen critiques both radical secularism and religious fundamentalism. He argues that believers can and should participate constructively in a pluralistic democracies, not by demanding privilege, but by contributing universal values grounded in their faith. And this is now shown in several ways. One is through support for human rights, rule of law, and transparent governance as expression of Islamic justice. Another one is affirmed rejection of violence, dialogue, education, persuasion are the legitimate means of social changes. And the last one is an investment in women education and participation in public life, linking gender inclusion to broader social well-being. This project has not been without cost. The movement has faced serious repression in Turkey, yet globally its schools and dialogue initiative continue, offering a lived example of how religion can support rather than undermine democratic pluralism. For us, for our real example is about the Harmony Institute, which is based in Nairobi. It's also a leading institute in East Africa with Tanzania and Uganda. So, to avoid remaining abstract, my paper includes a case study, Harmony Institute in Nairobi, Kenya. Harmony Institute is a multi-religious, multi-ethnic organization that seeks to foster peace, justice, and social cohesion through interfaith dialogue, cultural understanding, and joint action. It embodies key Hizmet values in an East African context that face its own mix of dialogue of religious diversity, historical tension, and ecological stress. Let me highlight two of its flagship initiatives. So the first one is about the scriptural reasoning. So scriptural reasoning, whereby Harmony Institute is doing it on a monthly basis. It convenes participants from different faith traditions, Muslim, Christian, Brahma Kumaris, Baha'i faith community, Hinduism, Krishna, and all other religions, to read and discuss their sacred text side by side. They may read passages from Quran, the Bible, or other scriptures around the themes such as peace, family, justice, or care for creation. Whereby, whenever we have this monthly program, we have a study leader. So a study leader may come from any other tradition, whether Islam, Christian, Baha'i, Brahma Kumaris, Hindu, Krishna, and then we select verses from both, and we discuss, whereby we want to understand each other. So the theme can be ranged from marriage, also about family, education, schools, and as Harmony Institute has been able to move around all religious worship places. We have been to synagogues, we have been to a Muslim mosque, we have been churches, we have been school, whereby we organize and invite people, and for actually it has been able to be a fruitful conversation. This method is simple but powerful. Participants listen carefully to how each community understands its own context. They ask open questions, seeking clarity rather than confrontation. They acknowledge both convergence and difference without forcing agreement. Over time, participants report that such encounters deepen empathy, challenge prejudice, and reveal common ethical concern. Scriptural reasoning thus become both an educational and peace-building tool, very much in line with the Gulen calls to prioritize gentle words and heart-to-heart communication even when serious disagreements remain. And the second one is about the climate change. Climate awareness and creation. Okay. So the second one is where climate change awareness and environmental stewardship. Harmony Institute collaborate with Catholic Network inspired by Laudato Si within East Africa and the Youth Climate Movement to organize workshop, forum, and campaign on creation care. On the last 2 years, we have been able to organize with the Amani Community Center and the Catholic University, where we had APES, African Peace and Environmental Summit, in 2024 and 2025. And for this year, 2026, we are also co-organizing with our sisters, Gulen Interfaith Dialogue in Tanzania, Kilimanjaro Dialogue Institute, whereby we're also going to have our third APES, African Peace and Environmental Summit, where we usually invite practitioners to come on environment, climate, and dialogue. So we hopefully also, we warmly invite our hand to our dear Bezet Fatimi and his committee and all members here to come and participate for us, which is going to happen on September, end of September and early October. Now, closing remarks. Let me close with a final thought from Gulen that captures the spirit of this approach, reflecting on dialogue, tolerance, he writes. We should have such a broad tolerance that we can close our eyes to our own fault and show respect for different ideas and forgive everything that is forgivable. Even when our inalienable rights are violated, we should respect human values and try to establish justice. In a world marked by polarization and fear, this is a demanding ethic. But movement like Hizmet and institution like Harmony Institute in Kenya shows that it's not merely an ideal. It can be a practice taught and embedded in concrete communities. If diversity is indeed a divine reality, as Hizmet claim, then our task is not to erase it, but to learn through dialogue, hospitality, and service, and how to turn it into a source of coexistence, justice, and peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Salim, for that helpful, both theoretical and applied interpretation of how we need to move from coexistence not by necessity, but by conviction, uniformity not being possible or desirable as an ideal for cultures and societies, and move to coexistence through hospitality, compassion, and service, Hizmet. You used an important word, tolerance, which is significant in the teachings of Fethullah Gulen, but the term in Turkish is hoşgörü. And it's a much stronger term than tolerance. Tolerance is actually a very bad translation for the term, because the word is a compound in Turkish of two words that means to see nicely. And Dr. Scott Alexander from Catholic Theological Union, whose Turkish is much better than mine, taught me that hoşgörü, this practice at the heart of Hizmet, means to see another as God sees them. And that means to see them essentially with eyes of mercy and compassion. So let's join in thanking Salim again for his fine paper. Our next presentation will be joining us virtually. I wasn't sure that we were going to make this arrangement, so I don't have prepared a detailed introduction to our guest, who is Sheikh Mohammed Al-Tafour Rahman, who will be speaking with us for 15 minutes on weaving the tapestry towards a deeper understanding of diverse Muslim ethnicities as the collaborative force for Thailand. Please join me in welcoming virtually, inshallah, Dr. Sheikh Mohammed Al-Tafour Rahman.
Okay, very good afternoon, dear moderator, guests and delegates of the conference. First of all, I am expressing my deep sorrow that I couldn't join in person in the program, although we really wanted to join. However, we are happy to join virtually and share our thoughts with the delegates in the conference. Our discussion issue is about Thailand and Muslim ethnic diversity and how that really reinforce the cultural identity of Muslim in Thailand and provide a kind of strength in Thai society. So what we are talking here is basically waving the tapestry diverse Muslim ethnicities as a collaborative force in Thai nation. If you look at the map in Thailand, we could see that Muslims are distributed in Thailand in a very diverse way. We have probably the highest density of Muslim in the southern part of Thailand, but in the central part of Thailand also has a clear dense Muslim population, mainly at the central Bangkok or the capital. So, what we want to do in this discussion today is trying to understand how this diverse Muslim background has actually contributing in building the Thai nationhood. So, in our discussion, we want to know about different kind of diverse Muslim ethnic groups in Thailand, how strategically these groups are related in creating Thai nationhood, and then we also want to see what are the potentials in bringing more solid kind of Thai positioning in the regional as international way, and that's pretty much what we're going to talk in our discussion. So, in terms of understanding the plurality of Thai Muslim in Thailand, we know that there is a problem remains.
Excuse me,
Uh,
Sheikh Rahman. This is John Paul. Would it be possible for you to turn up the volume on your microphone just a tad?
okay, I put it maximum. Now, can you hear me clearly now?
If you can turn up the volume, that would be great.
Okay, I actually turned full. Yeah.
Okay, just speak
Okay.
as. I have no idea. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. So first of all, let's us discuss about the plurality aspect of Thai Muslims in the context. One of the basic problem that we have in Thailand to understand the Muslim is that mainly the people understand Thai Muslim from a single monolithic understanding, which is the southern Muslim population or Muslim concentrated in the Malayu belt of Thailand. And that's why the public perception and the policy often treat Thai Muslim as a single and very homogeneous bloc, which is not the fact. Rather, the idea of this study was to really understand the diverse background of Thai Muslim and document them through a documentary research and see how those are important in terms of not fragmenting Thai nationhood, but also to create a collaborative force in Thai kingdom. So the jurisprudence of the coexistence here really framing the idea of how these Muslims are creating more sustainable, peaceful, and just coexistence society in Thailand. As a part of the demographic number that we know, Thailand has roughly 7 million Muslim population, which is 6 plus Muslim population, roughly 8 to 9% of the population, mostly Sunni, and they are integral part of Thai pluralistic society. We also understand that in Thailand, Muslims enjoy the constitutional protection as what you call they are equally recognized as a citizen of Thailand. So irrespective of their religious background, they also have control or what you call fully religious freedom, and they are representing in the government as well. So these are some of the pluralistic dimension that we can see. If we look back in history, we can see that it actually started early in the Thai nation building process. So the political and social integration of Thai Muslim is very renowned and very clear. Many Thai Muslim holds very high ranking position, including the president of the parliament, minister or senator and cabinet member. These are very often. There is also a very strong relation between the monarch and Thai Muslim society. So the monarch acts as a patron to all religious group in Thailand. So they have an institution called Shaikhul Islam or Chula Raja Montri who support the Islamic affair in Thailand. There's also, we understand, a diverse Muslim background, which is not necessarily only ethnically diverse, but also religiously diverse, and also there are diversion in terms of geographic distribution of Muslim. But one interesting thing is that despite all those diversity, Muslims share the same legal right as any other Thai citizen. However, there are slight challenges remain within the idea of accepting and mainstreaming this multiculturalism, and to some extent in the deep south or southern part of Thailand there is an issue of continuation of some kind of militancy going on, so that we also see as a response there is also surveillance going on, and there are also a kind of tension between southern Muslim and state of Thailand. With that recognition, now we understand in Thai society, Muslims are also getting pretty much recognized. So we are looking as a tapestry rather than a mosaic in Thai society, where we can see that Muslims are actually getting a very integral part of Thailand. The specific example here we are giving in the present cabinet, we have the cultural minister who is a Thai Muslim female, and she was previously the deputy minister of interior as well. So we understand how integrally recognized Thai Muslims in Thai society. However, this integral record goes back to Ayutthaya period, which is historical period of Thailand, where we understand that Thai Muslims are quite recognized in Thailand because of their contribution to Thai society. So let's see how those happen. In in earlier time, when Thai Muslim came here, they are generally coming from different part of the world. One of the group who came here are from Persia, and they are Arab descent Muslim population. When they came here, they had a historic relationship with the king in Ayutthaya period, where the Muslim population actually defeated the Japanese merchant who conducted coup against the Thai monarch. And by establishing a clear relationship with the monarch, they recognized as the integral elite society of Thailand during that time. So the descendant become the foundational, component of the Siamese, which is another name of Thailand, Siamese administration and aristocratic elite in the society. So the impact was very visible. That proves that Islamic faith in Thailand got clearly support and assistance by the Thai monarch, historically, as we say. This also went to different direction when we have seen the another ethnic group in Thailand who came from Java, which is basically Southeast Asian island nation, like mainly Indonesia and Malaysia. But these particular group were mainly from Java, which is Indonesian Muslim, who migrated to Thailand, and they were positioned themselves in an urban setting. The example still remain here when we see the Java Mosque in central Bangkok, who also constitute a complete community in the center Bangkok, who has a distinct recognition in Thai society. The focus of this particular group, we can say, they're clearly successfully negotiated a religious practice, and they have positioned themselves in this multicultural, multi-ethnic urban setting of Thailand. That to say, we also understand this is a clear difference from the deep south Muslim population, who are essentially positioned them in the territory of Malayu belt in the southern part of Thailand. So we can see that the Javanese Muslim clearly position themselves in a more pragmatic accommodation in Thai society. The other minor groups that we have in Thailand is also one of the major migrant population from China, present day Yuhan provinces, and these Muslim are called Chinese Hu Muslim, or you can say Hui Muslim of Thailand. The aspect of Hu Muslim in Thailand is they are culturally very unique because they are Chinese, but they also have very distinctive cuisine, like the Thai halal Chinese cuisine. So they clearly get a kind of new integration in Thai society. The idea of integrating this Hui Muslim in Thailand gives a clear resonation that Thailand connected itself with neighboring Laos, Myanmar, and Yunnan provinces, and that's exactly how it connected internationally. We also see that their ability of this Hui Muslim is distinctively in the area of trade, give a clear regional trading relationship of Thailand with the surrounding area. Finally, we have another group of Muslim population, mainly Pashtun and South Asian Muslim, who also holds a significant ethnic Muslim population in Thailand. They migrated from Indian subcontinent to some extent Central Asian of part of the Central Asia. What they have contributed significantly is created a corridor, which is northern Thailand as a commercial bridge between India and Thailand. And we can see that this particular group has a very specialized characteristics. They are very low profile, but considered as a very high trustworthy commercial partner in the area of textile, gem industry, and other cross-border trade. So they recognize as a trader in Thai society. Now, with that recognition, we also have seen there is the final group, which is a very small but very significant group, which is Cham Muslim population. If we look at the Cham Muslim population, there's a historical route which started from Taiwan to Philippines all the way to Java and then ended up in Vietnam. So this Cham Muslim population have their kingdom in Vietnam and northern Cambodia and southern Cambodia, we understand, has faced what you call a significant discrimination and persecution in that part. As a result of what, this particular population moved to Thailand, and we understand they consider Thailand as a safe haven in the time of difficulties. This is what created Thailand as a national, as a safe haven in the region, particularly given a clear projection in the Ummah as an aspect of humanitarian image of Thai society.
Excuse me, Sheikh Rahman, 3 minutes, please.
Thank you very much. So we are heading the last part of the discussion, which is basically giving us an understanding how Thai Muslim society could be potential for Thai nationhood. One of the major issue of Thai potential area is how to call halal economy. Muslims are really a contributor to boost Thai halal economy, and they are contributing at the present $7 billion, but in 2021 it was $5.6 billion. And we understand that Muslims are creating a channel or bridge between Thai economy and Central Asian and Southeast Asian island nations like Malaysia, Indonesia, and Burma and Brunei. The key product of that halal economy is, of course, the poultry, sugar, tuna fish, as well as cocoa, pharmaceuticals, fashion, and food. The key infrastructure that Thai society has recognized through boosting the halal economy is they created the Central Islamic Council of Thailand, as well as other certification body like the Thai halal validation or halal certification process. These also created an international name in the halal economy for Thailand. The final point which I want to touch upon is the potential of Thai Muslim to play a soft power role in Muslim society, like in the process how Thailand positioned itself in the Central and South Asia, where Persian and Indian Muslim descent provided a pre-existing trust network. At the same time, Muslim in Thailand also provided a nexus between what you call Muslim ASEAN country and Thailand. So the result is very simple. It is transnational capital that works as a Thai Muslim society. We understand this is how the appreciation aspect is emerging. So we do not think that Thai Muslim is only the center of security focus, which is assimilation aspect of it. But on the other hand, they are more focused as a resource focus, which is appreciation aspect. So the final table shows us how this is really distinctively helping to build the Thai nationhood. So, for example, we see the Southern Malayo Muslim population, which the core focus was the security focus, but definitely it has to be addressed by what you call bilingual education and local autonomy. On the other hand, urban Muslim minorities like the invisible Jawani Muslim, there is a need of official recognition and cultural resource allocation as well. The private sector, on the other hand, like the halal economy, they can be further, inspired and promoted by promoting Hui food tourism or South Asian banking sector. In this all practices, the final note really says that to be Muslim in Thailand, regardless of ethnic roots, it is to be integral phase of Thai nationhood, where it is potentially providing what you call the aspect for conflict resolution in the South and creating a strengthened Thai nationhood for economic growth. So those are the area how a tapestry can be formed for a nation of resilience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheikh Rahman, for a fascinating presentation of, once again, we're in the Kantian triad of peacemaking, the Leviathan, the nation state, first, second, international trade as a force for peace, and that's really where your work focused, and then third, international organizations, and it'd be interesting for me when we get to our Q&A, and I trust you will be able to stay with us for the question and answer, which will happen at the end. Yes?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I am actually our prayer time is there today. We are time difference.
Yeah.
We have 1.5 hour difference, so probably need to move. But our colleague probably will be there.
Okay, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please join me
Thank you
once
very much.
again in thanking the Sheikh for his presentation.
Pleasure.
Our third presenter, or a second, depending on how you count, is Ghada Abdul Salam Ghazal, who is a PhD candidate in Quranic Studies at Charles Sturt University School of Theology, the Center for Islamic Studies and Civilizations. Her research focuses on Nazim al-Quran and comparative Islamic and Western hermeneutical approaches to the Quran in contemporary scholarship. Ghada is the author, with Kate Kelly Middleton, of Comparative Scriptural Reading of Muslim Christian Marian Texts, How God Reveals Through the Embodied Experience of Pregnancy, in Studies in Interreligious Dialogue 2024. Please join me in welcoming Ghada Ghazal.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon all of you, and good morning. I would like to start by expressing my gratitude and thanks to the university and to all the staff who makes this amazing gathering and conference and of learning and exchanging the knowledge. My research paper is entitled Toward a Faith-Inspired Ethics of Trust, the Hizmet Movement Contribution to Peace Building and Intercultural Solidarity. So I start with trust as a condition of social cohesion. Usually we look at trust as an abstract meaning, but I try to look at it as a condition for social cohesion. And in order to theorize that concept, I draw actually on the Indian philosopher and economist, if I'm spelling correctly the name, Amartya Sen, who really put the focus that trust is the social and the moral capital, especially in the plural societies, when we have the diversity and disagreement and differences. So how we can change these differences into social cohesion about and have the coexistence across differences. So what's the problem of trust formation? Of course, we all agree we need trust, but how trust is ethically formed and sustained in plural societies? Of course, we have a lot of challenges: diversity, disagreement, different religions, different ethnicities, different political, opinions. So the focus here should be on the moral practices by every member in the societies. And also, the second and most important is taking responsibilities. Because most of the time when we have differences or when we have challenges, people step back. So when we have this responsibility that I am accountable, and this is derived from the concept of trust, then the situation we can handle the ethically the concept of trust. So it's not enough to have the institutions or organizations all over the world without our consistent working. So trust needs time. It's built over time. It can't be just by building by a building or by establishing an organization or having an institution. The most important thing is consistency and to work patiently. So looking at Hizmet Movement as a lived ethics of trust, I found that Hizmet Movement, they have 3 core principles. Of course, there are other principles, but these are like the cores one, which is education, interfaith dialogue, community service. So for me, as if, like, first of all, if you want to build trust inside yourself, you have to start with yourself by educating yourself. Because if you are ignorant, you don't build the trust inside you. So it comes from inside on the individual. Then when you build that, you go to the other, whoever the other is. And then here we have the interfaith dialogue, which the interfaith dialogue gives us the chance to learn about our own religion and to learn about the other, and to build trust in our knowledge and to build trust in the other. And then the last core principle, when we work on ourselves and we work on the other, then we can build the communities. Then we can serve the communities. Because it's not only about serving, it's about serving in the best way. Serving with stable steps, which will lead to success. Of course, there are challenges to this ethical trust. Sometimes we have conflicts, sometimes we have exile, migration, political things, and then sometimes we have widespread trust in media. Sometimes, like when we open the TV to different challenge, we don't trust, we don't know where the truth. So it's challenging. Every day we wake up with a challenge, whether on the social level, on the political level, on the media level. So we have to be aware that there are challenges to this concept of trust. So how we can overcome these challenges? By being aware of them, and then by having this consistent and continuous civic engagement. And by building this moral integrity over time, and not to feel the frustration. Because some people, I know some people, they are educated, they write books, and then they say, we are frustrated. We feel nothing is working. So this is a big challenge. We have to keep having this, we can do it, we can trust ourselves, and we can continue. So looking also at the ethical logic of trust from the Islamic tradition, and of course when we look from the Islamic tradition, the first thing to look at is the Quran. So trust, this is the translation in English. In Arabic, it's called amana. And amana is the masdar, linguistically, the abstract noun. And amana, if you go to the Arabic dictionary, it goes from, or it comes or stems from the verb amana. And it's also, we have al-iman, belief, and amana, to believe in. So why you believe in something? Because you trust it. You have that trust inside your heart. So all these derivations, of course, the classical discussions of the scholars or the people who give interpretations of the Quran, they speak about the verse, which is verse 33:72, إِنَّا عَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ. We have given the trust على السماوات والأرض, to heavens and the earth, and they refuse it. And who carry that trust? Human being. They accept it. Why? They think they can do it. So as if God give us this, he trusts us to carry this trust, to carry the amana. So the scholars, they say, what is this amana? What God means? Of course, there are different interpretations, and there's no time to discuss all the interpretations, but they say it's the freedom, it's the accountability, and all of them, like, for example, if you go like to Razi or Tabari, or they connected to the moral accountability. And actually, it's interesting that Fathallah Golan, with regard to the amana, he aligns his interpretation with most of the classical scholars, like Fakhruddin al-Razi, like in Ihya Ulumuddin, what's the name? Yeah, Al-Ghazali in Ihya Ulumuddin, who they speak about, actually when they speak about amana and the other concept which I didn't mention, taqwa, it's so interesting. They speak about al-zahir and al-batin, the inward and the outward. And they connect the taqwa, which is God consciousness, with the inward, al-batin. And they connected amana with the concept of al-zahir, which is the outward. So for Fathallah Golan, he said that the taqwa is the inward condition, your connections with God, which lead you to do the right things, even if there is no authority above you, if there is no control. You are not afraid from like the law or the authority. You are watching, you are building this vertical column between you and God. And then the amana, he said, it's the outward. So if when you have the inward connection, then you reflect that in the outward responsibility, which is the horizontal. So when we have this intersection between the vertical and the horizontal, between the taqwa and the amana, then we have this self-accountability, and then we have, it reflects in human dignity, and which lead to social trust, which lead to public good. So trust in that sense, it's a moral custodianship. It's not like something related to a person or institution. It's something like built morally with the connection with God and with the connection with people. Sorry, I'm going, yeah. I find it's, within this context and being in India for the first time too, I find a comparison in my research between Fathallah Golan and Mahatma Gandhi. It's so interesting that Fathallah Golan, when speaking about trust, he spoke about amana and taqwa. And Mahatma Gandhi, excuse my pronunciation, so if it's right, Swaraj, which is the self-rule, like ruling, controlling yourself, which is related to the taqwa. It's you control yourself because you know God is watching you. And then the Satagaha, so which is the truth force, like you apply it. And this is like, it leads to the ethical trust through moral credibility. And for Fathallah Golan, we have the ethical trust through the reliable service to the community. So I still need to research more about like the comparison, but I find it so interesting with the two scholars. So the last, so toward the faith-inspired ethics of trust, I find this image is so expressive. We have to build it like, you know, in the old time, how they create this carpet by hand. So we have to go like step by step, and we have in life, we have differences, we have disagreements, we have uncertainties, we have problems, we have wars, we have issues. But how we can achieve trust? By being persistent, continuity, responsibility, humility, presence, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Gada, for taking us into trust as a condition for social cohesion with many different steps. I really appreciated your emphasis on amana, entrusted moral responsibility, and the importance of continuity and consistency in that regard. As a Christian, there are 4 different words for love in Greek. And the first three are the ones that get the attention: eros, philia, and agape. But it's the fourth one that's really the most important. The Greek word is storge. And I had a professor describe storge to me as the love that you have for a really comfortable pair of shoes because you've broken them in well. In other words, this idea of just you can count on someone and on some practices, and that is that amana, put in practice through taqwa. Thank you very much again for your presentation. I have been informed we're going to go a little over time, but and then have a very short Q&A session afterwards. But I trust you can find our speakers as individuals if you have burning questions or comments that you want to share with them. And so we return to Margaret Maggie Kosal, Science Diplomacy for Global Peacemaking. She is a very distinguished speaker and an elected honorary fellow of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, author of many, many books, professor of international affairs at the Georgia Institute of Technology. Please join me in welcoming, in some cases again, Maggie Kosal.
Good morning again. So first off, I want to thank the organizers, especially Behzad, and all of the other unnamed individuals, volunteers, and students who have kept us moving and kept us getting us to where we need to be. I'd like to thank OP Jindal Global University for hosting us, and I also have much gratitude to Umit and all of those from the Atlantic Institute. Science diplomacy has historically been described as the promotion of a more peaceful world through scientific cooperation and the use of science advice for foreign policy decision makings. In these comments and in this larger project, my students and I are exploring what would a proactive 21st century science diplomacy for peacemaking or for peace building look like, and what is the role for civil society groups like Hizmet. This paper lays the foundation for development of a theoretical framework with this emphasis intentionally on peacemaking. It starts with analysis of major factors from past and current organizations engaged in more traditional science diplomacy. So a little background. In the 20th century, much of the push for science diplomacy was inextricably tied to the national security realm. In his first inaugural address after the conclusion of World War II, President Harry Truman laid out 4 foreign policy goals. The last of those, he asserted, was, quote, "We must embark on a bold new program for making the benefits of our scientific advances and industrial progress available for the improvement and growth of underdeveloped areas," end quote. This speech is better known as the speech in which the concept of NATO was introduced. At the same time, as we are discussing the plan for rebuilding Europe, science and technology was intrinsically seen and connected to economic development and for human benefit. And I'd like us all to pause for a moment and contrast what President Truman said with the rhetoric coming out of the current White House.
You have to chuckle or you'll cry.
Moving forward, science diplomacy has perhaps made the biggest impact as part of Track 2 diplomatic efforts. This is informal diplomacy between individuals who are not officially empowered to act on behalf of a state, but are acting in accordance with a state's foreign policy goals. These often occur through dialogue exchanges, cooperative programs, or other means. The goal is to increase cooperation, to increase transparency, to decrease conflict through building relationships. As an aside, the last time I was in Moscow was in December 2019 as part of a Track 1.5 Track 2 effort, trying to re-engage and understand on the intersection of emerging technologies with nuclear cooperation. You know, that was December 2019. I don't think I could go to Moscow today. I probably would not be let in. I don't know if I want to. These Track 2 efforts with nuclear physicists and other scientists during the Cold War are legendary. They sought to reduce the threat of nuclear conflict and to promote arms control and disarmament. In many ways, the nuclear diplomacy of the Cold War may be conceptualized as the pinnacle of Track 2 science diplomacy. And it was viscerally connected to reducing global nuclear threats, again, through promoting understanding, reducing tensions, and strengthening interpersonal relationships. By the way, the last nuclear arms control treaty between the US and Russia expired yesterday morning. For the first time since 1972, the two states with the largest nuclear arsenals, by far, have no limits on the size of their inventories. There's no agreed and established verification protocols, however imperfect they might be, and no vision for moving forward. Overall, Track 2 science diplomacy has been an underutilized tool since those days of the Cold War, which may be ironic, considering that since the early 1990s, the world is increasingly technologically dependent, increasingly technologically connected, and it is spreading at an unprecedented rate. To explain that difference there, particularly with respect to U.S. engagement in science diplomacy, I look to data on the comparative perceptions of the value of science and technology. Pew Global Attitudes Survey, most recent one, shows that more than anything, quote, U.S. science and tech advances are viewed positively around the globe, ranging from 61% positive in Argentina to 88% positively in Kenya and Senegal. This should be an area to leverage for diplomacy. And by the way, if one analyzes the data specifically for what Pew defines as Middle East conflicts areas, that is Egypt, Pakistan, Turkey, and Uzbekistan, it's even more dramatic. Science tech advances are cited by 86% as a reason for liking the US more than anything else. Interestingly, to put it diplomatically, and this I think explains why it's been underutilized, the data from the US is basically the inverse. Only 32% of Americans surveyed perceived tech science advances as a major reason for liking the US. Because Americans don't see it, too many of them assume the rest of the world thinks the same way, which is a disappointing finding. Prior work, I've documented how in the 21st century, three major risks to effectiveness exist for science diplomacy: not being relevant, not being strategic, and not being at the table, i.e. present at these discussions. While there are notable exceptions, often this is best not accomplished by active research science. There's a critical need for champions and for a cohort of individuals who can bridge across the technical and foreign policy arenas. And if this was my classroom, I'd be asking our foreign service officers, how many of you are engineers or physical or life scientists as you are pursuing your foreign service officer careers? Moving forward, or in some ways going back to that initial question, what would a proactive 21st century science diplomacy for peace building look like? For this project, my students and I have developed and coded a novel database of 50 organizations across 28 different variables. The coding schema integrates insights from the major science diplomacy literature, from organizational studies, and from diplomatic performance theory. Other variables are novel, including those specific to peace building. To illustrate, I'm going to briefly mention a couple of organizations. The oldest in our database is the German National Academy of Sciences, Leopoldina, which was founded in 1652. That's 8 years before the UK's Royal Society. Its major issue areas are science promotion, science advice, and education. It primarily engages in track 1.5 diplomacy and is funded by the German federal government and state governments. We code its activities as capacity building, science for policy, and norm setting. Leopoldina promotes science and in national and international cooperation through a variety of different mechanisms, including honors and prizes. The youngest organization in our database, founded in 2019, is the European Union Science Diplomacy Alliance. Its focus is on science diplomacy, capacity building, knowledge exchange, and international cooperation. Funded via the Horizon 2020 program, so EU. It also accepts private funding from corporations through the EU Global Service Facility. Focusing on peace building as a variable, 21 of the organizations in our database explicitly mention peace building as the goal or a goal or core to its mission. So these include ones that have direct articulations. For example, the American Association for the Advancement of Science, Center for Science Diplomacy, asserts that, quote, by fostering international scientific collaborations and dialogues across political boundaries, the center promotes mutual understanding and reduces tension, an important component of peace building, unquote. Another example is the Geneva Science Diplomacy Alliance, who asserts that they want to prevent geopolitical tensions over science and technology, and thus enabling peace building. Some of the articulations are a little more guarded. For example, the ISC, they assert that they want to contribute indirectly to peace and stability through science diplomacy. Chinese Academy of Sciences talks about projects that contribute to global problem solving and foster collaboration that may support peace. And there's at least one that ties science directly to the humanities. That would be the European Leadership in Cultural Science and Innovation Diplomacy. Implicitly in this database, 28 promote peace building as part of their core mission. These include UK's Royal Society and the Indian National Science Academy, which mentions that their activities contribute to constructive engagement and mutual understanding. Another one is the Islamic World Academy of Sciences, which notes that promoting cooperation in science and technology, this is one means to reduce disparities and enhance regional stability. There's only one organization that doesn't directly or indirectly mention peace building or conflict resolution, and that is South Korea's Science Technology Policy Institute. So peace building is an intrinsic part of these traditional track 1 and track 2 science diplomacy efforts. This is the foundational work we need to understand and move forward. In future work, we are looking to empirically incorporate track 3 efforts, that is civil society, citizen-to-citizen interactions like the Hizmet movement. Wrapping up, in the global information age, the most technologically advanced power no longer guarantees national or international security. Globalization and the information revolution, including the internet, have led to much greater visibility into the availability and the potential for science and technology. And that's before we even consider the implications of other emerging technologies, from AI, which seems to be everywhere, including yesterday, synthetic biology, metamaterials, nanotechnology, quantum science, and whatever technology is yet to be named. Understanding these changing paradigms and the implications for peace building in the 21st century starts with an awareness of the factors driving the capabilities and understanding of the underlying challenges as we move to promote a more peaceful world. Thank you.
Okay, that was a fascinating presentation because it revealed to me an entire area of peacemaking I knew absolutely nothing about. The entire field of science diplomacy. It's a brilliant notion. Immanuel Kant, in his 1793 essay on perpetual peace, said there are three things that will bring peace between nations. The first is a stable nation state, the Leviathan, where people have a voice. Second is trade between nations, because nations who trade with each other tend not to kill each other because that's bad for trade. And third is participation in international organizations. And when we think of those, we think of groups like the UN and the G20 and so on and so forth. But scientific organizations like the ones you are tracking, it seems to me as a really brilliant initiative that is well worth attending to, and I'm grateful to have learned about it. My question for you, and will come up, in our conversation, is there any cooperation between these scientific organizations with faith-based groups such as Hizmet or Religions for Peace, and the various initiatives along those lines? Because it seems to me the warfare between science and religion has been in many ways the most deadly warfare of the 19th and 20th century in reducing the potential for cooperation across these communities of millions of people and professionals, in fact. So thank you, Maggie. That was really very nicely put together and excellently timed, as a matter of fact, as well. So thank you for that. Already made my response to Maggie, thanking her for her wonderful presentation and taking us to the bottom of the Kantian triad of peace building, where international organization is, one of the key things that will promote peace between nations. And my question for you was, how are religious organizations? But we have time for none. Alas, this is one of those occasions when the moderator feels like a failure, and I actually have no accountability for that whatsoever. So, I have no guilt about the fact that we ran half an hour over. Thank you so much for coming. If you do have questions, I know the presenters would be more than willing to speak with you individually. Please join me collectively in thanking our fine presentations. They were all really excellent.